Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Oh, let's see. All right, so thank you all for joining us on this Thursday evening Parent Academy webinar special session. Thank you again. We are excited to have you as audience listeners and participants. I am Tina Folston Hayes, the Parent Academy Specialist for Educational Equity and Outreach for Alachua County Public Schools, and I welcome you this evening. Tonight, you will receive some helpful information from our guest speakers from the Alachua County Public School VPK program, Ms. Tricia Nieves and Ms. Jerry Richardson. And just before we get started, I would like to review some housekeeping elements. Keep your microphones on mute for the duration of the presentation. We will be monitoring your questions and respond accordingly. Please use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of the webinar window. And please note that the Parent Academy webinars are closed captioned, recorded, and posted to our website for access at a later date or re-review for any individuals who could not tune in live tonight. Your questions will be answered at the conclusion of each session. If there is a specific need for any personal conversation, the Parent Academy's email address is parentacademy@gm.sbac.edu. And we will get to those questions and your requests for additional information.
Okay, I think Ms. Tina is frozen. So she pops, if it comes back, I'll let her finish her spiel, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Tricia Nieves, and I'm the administrative coordinator for the Alachua County Public School VPK program. And my right hand is Ms. Jerry Richardson. She is the program coordinator, program services coordinator for the VPK program here. So I'm going to go through our presentation. She's going to be watching the Q&A session there to see if any questions come up, and we're happy to answer as many as we can as we go through it. So we may stop to do that, stop and answer some questions during it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Jerry, give me a thumbs up that you can see my screen. Okay. So this presentation is about the Alachua County Public Schools VPK program. There are several VPK programs in Alachua County, but this is the one pertaining to the one in the Alachua County School District. So what is our Alachua County Public School program for VPK? Well, it is a kindergarten readiness program. So that is our goal, to get your child ready for kindergarten. And we do it in a lot of different ways. We have a curriculum called the Frog Street curriculum. It is a comprehensive research-based curriculum that is aligned to both federal and state standards. And we follow the Florida state standards. They're actually called the Florida Early Learning and Developmental Standards. And if you go to the Department of Ed's website, there's a whole section for the Division of Early Learning. And in there, it has the standards, and it shows you what your child should know in preschool to get them ready for kindergarten. And it has got a lot of helpful information because it shows you how that aligns, what you need to know in kindergarten and what do you need to know in preschool to get ready for kindergarten. A lot of great resources on there. We also have highly qualified staff that are trained in early childhood education. Each one of our classrooms has both a teacher and an assistant in each classroom. And so all those things combined, we try to make sure that we have met all the things to make sure your child is 100% ready when they leave us and go to kindergarten in the public school system. Now, there are two different options, and this is where it gets a little confusing for families because it's not always explained very clearly on the websites, or it's hard to understand. But basically, there are two options for parents when you're determining when you should use your child's VPK voucher. You can either use it during the school year before they go to kindergarten, or during the summer before they go to kindergarten. Not both, it's one or the other, but it's the one right before they go to kindergarten. So, excuse me, if you do choose to use it during the school year, you're going to get 540 hours. That's what that voucher is for 540 hours. And it is basically, you could use it at any VPK provider in town. There's several. There's private schools, there's private daycares, there's charter schools, there's Head Start, and there's us. So 540 hours spread over an entire school year is about 3 hours a day. So you get a little bit more bang for your buck on that one. Now, if you choose to use the summer program, we're basically trying to compile an entire year's worth into a summer. So it's 300 hours, but it's pretty long days. It's really a long full day. It's not a part day. It's a real long day to make sure that we give everything that your child needs before they go to kindergarten. And that ratio is a little different. We actually would only put 12 children in the classroom with one qualified teacher. So it's a little different. And most daycares do not do a summer program. We're actually usually the only provider in town for the summer program. It's just a little harder to do the summer program, so that's why a lot of private providers choose not to. But it is a smaller class, and it's less hours, but it is just really packed full with a lot of information to get your child ready for kindergarten. So the voucher, like I said, only provides 500. If you're doing it for the school year, it only provides for 540 hours. So that's about 3 hours a day if you break it down over 180 days. Our program, however, goes the full school day. So if you were to take your voucher and go into a daycare or somewhere like that, private provider, you're only going to get the 3 hours a day. And if you want to stay the rest of the day, that's something you have to work out with that provider, whether you pay for the rest of the day, if they even offer that or not, you have to ask them. For us, we're going to offer the entire school day to your child, just as if they were going to kindergarten. In the district here, we acknowledge that there is an achievement gap in students, and we're trying to do our part to make sure we close those gaps and help serve children and make sure that they are as most prepared as they can be before they walk into our classrooms for kindergarten. So our program provides you well over 1,000 hours. And like most providers, pretty much all of them or most of them, we do not provide transportation. Families would have to bring their child to school every day and pick them up and sign them in and out every single day. So it's not one of those situations where you go through the parent drop off and just drop off your child. You actually get out and sign them in and sign them out. And we always have an adult to an adult transfer. The 4-year-olds aren't just wandering on the campus. They're always with us. So they're signed in and signed out every single day. Now, if you do want to know what the schedule, like the calendar is, we follow the exact school calendar as the public school K-12 is what they use. So if you're wondering what that is, it's on the website. They publish all of our calendars on the school board website, which is www.sbac.edu. So it's schoolboardofalachua.edu. So that's where the calendar is if you wanted to know the exact dates of when class is in session. Currently, for this current school year that we're in, we actually have 12 locations, and every year it could change a little bit. We hope to keep growing and keep expanding and offer it in every single school, but for right now, it is offered in 12 locations, pretty spread out across the county, as you can see. A lot right here in the middle, but we also have Irby, which is out in Alachua, Newberry Elementary, Archer Elementary, and Shell Elementary, which is out in Hawthorne. And in town, we have Wiles, Terwilliger, Childs, Hidden Oak, Talbot, Norton, Rawlings, and Lake Forest. So children would actually go to VPK at their zone school. If you are zoned to a school, let's say, for example, you're zoned to Foster, and we don't have a program there, you would choose another one of our schools, and your child can attend any of the ones where we do have it at. We do give priority to the zone students, but because we do want you to go to your zone school. And like I said, hopefully, eventually we will be at more schools and be able to serve even more students. So how do you qualify for the program? Well, that's kind of a two-part question. So how do you qualify for a VPK voucher? Right here on the left side of the screen, this is what the state of Florida requires. They require that the child be at least 4 years old by September 1st of that school year. So if you want to start school in August, this coming up August, your child would need to be by September 1st would need to be 4 years old by 2023. So you have to meet that age requirement. There is no way around it. There are no exceptions. It's just something the state of Florida has done, and they won't even issue you a VPK voucher if you have it, if your child's not that age yet. So they have to be 4 years old by that school year that you're going into. There is no income requirement. Every single child in the state of Florida can get this voucher. It does not matter what your income is. To get into our program over here to apply for us, so not everybody that gets a voucher, that doesn't automatically mean that you qualify for, or that you're applying for us. You actually have to put in a separate application. So you're going to apply for the VPK voucher, and then you're going to apply with us. And that's true with anyone. So you can apply for the voucher and then go apply at a daycare. So the voucher just approves the funding. Now you have to decide as a parent, where do you want to use it? And if you want to find a list of all of the providers, you could go to the website for the Early Learning Coalition, and they have all of the providers listed on there. You can choose, and they'll tell you the hours and what curriculum they use and all their information. So we are just one of the many providers in Alachua County. So how do you apply? You go to our website, which is, it's right there on the screen, and you fill out a really quick application. It's so quick, you don't even have to upload anything. It's just basic information. And it is date and time stamped, and we do select children on a first come, first served basis with priority given to the zone students. And like I said, you can apply at any of the sites if you don't have a program at one of your, if you're zoned to a school that doesn't have a program, you can apply at one of our other sites. So our program has a no income requirement, and there is no cost for it at this time. So this is how you would apply for our program. So I'm going to walk you through that a little bit more. And our flyer has all of the information. You can find that on our website as well. And it has all the information about our locations, our days and times, and the 2 steps, which are right here, step 1 and step 2. So it's pretty simple for you to follow along. So step 1, like I said, apply with us. And it's just a quick Google form, just takes you a minute or 2 to fill it out. It's nothing, just basic information, you know, where do you live and how old is your child, that kind of information. This is the website where you will apply for the VPK voucher. This is the state portal. We do not have access to that portal. So once you apply for the voucher, we don't know about it until you apply with us. So we don't have access to it. I know a lot of families say, well, I applied for the voucher, so you guys can see it. I'm like, no, that's, even though we are a state program, we are a school, public school district, we don't have access to this portal. We don't know who's applied for a voucher. So you'd have to apply for your voucher and then apply with us. So what happens after you've applied? So basically, we review all of the applications one by one. And I do want to mention, we do have a pretty small team here. It's just a team of 2, Jerry and I. We do have one executive assistant that also provides us some help, but we're a pretty small team. So we get hundreds and hundreds of applications, and we review each one of them one by one, and we start verifying your child's age and your zone. And so that's where we start. And then we see, which school you're zoned to, which one you've requested, and do we have space? And if all those align and we're able to give you a spot, we will get in contact with you and let you know you've been accepted. And we give you some steps to follow to get your child registered at the school. All of our students are registered at the school, just like as if you were registering your kindergartner for school. You have to register your child with, the emergency cards and shots and physicals and all that kind of stuff. And if there is no space in our program, and we will send you a letter saying that you've been added to the wait list, because we do reach capacity. We don't have endless spots, unfortunately, but we do try to get as many families in as we can, but we do have to have families on the wait list. And when we do send you an email that's saying you're on the wait list, we also give you some other resources. I will direct you to, encourage you to apply with another provider. And there are 3 charter schools that offer VPK as well. There's Caring and Sharing, One Room, and Micanopy. And those are fantastic charter schools as well. So you can always apply with them or with a private provider or with somebody like Head Start. But one thing you do need to know that I don't think is very well explained to parents is that you can only transfer your voucher one time. So once your child has started school, let's say they start at this daycare, and then October comes around and we call you and we say, hey, we know you're on our wait list, but now we have a space for you. You want to transfer over? There's no pressure. You're not under any obligation, but if you choose to transfer over, that's your one transfer. So you can't go back and forth. The state will actually only give you one time to transfer. So it's just something to make note of. We encourage everybody to use your voucher, put your child in somewhere, and sometimes you have to apply at multiple places. There are wait lists that most of the VPK providers have a wait list. So you want to go out there and apply and put your child's name on as many lists as you can. And then, but just try to make sure that they have somewhere to go in August, because you want them to use as much of that voucher as they can, soak in as much as that early instruction as they can. If you want more information about our program, if you go to the school board website, again, it's www.sbac.edu, just /VPK. All of our flyers are on there for our school year program, our summer program. We also have them on there in Spanish, and I have some other really helpful links for you to the state websites if you're interested in getting information about what they're looking at the state level in terms of what to do to get your child ready for school. One thing I do want to mention to families is it's so important that you put your child somewhere, there's only 2,000 days from the time your child is born till they go into kindergarten, approximately, give or take their birthday, approximately 2,000 days. So your time to get them ready for kindergarten is really limited. And so you really, really want to focus in on those years. You might think, oh, they're just 2 years old, or they're just 3. It's not important. It is. It's very important. Early intervention is the most important thing to set your child up for success moving forward. 90% of the brain development happens within the first 5 years. It is so, so important that they're getting high quality early childhood education. And one other part of having them go into a center and be part of a program is that a lot of times we're able to help you identify if there's any concerns. Like, you may not notice that your child has a speech concern or there is some other developmental delay, and we can help identify and refer you for services if you need that. But sometimes kids kind of go under the radar, and when they start kindergarten, then they notice that there's a concern and may want to get evaluated. So when they're in early with us, we're scanning for all those kinds of things, where any kind of disabilities or learning disabilities or delays, we're helping to prepare families for that if they would like services or getting their child evaluated. So it's just really important that your child is somewhere. I wish that we could serve every single child, and hopefully eventually we'll be able to serve more and have more sites. But for now, we have those 12 sites. We have 14 classrooms across 12 sites. It's a pretty big program, and we will keep expanding and keep growing. But if you can't get in with us, please make sure you apply somewhere and get your child into a high quality program. And if you are trying to reach us, I know sometimes it can be difficult if you try to call us. We are always out and about at our sites. We like to be involved, and we're very, very hands-on, and we are always out and about. But if you need to reach us, our phone numbers are there, but our emails are probably the best way to reach us at times. So our emails are down at the bottom of the screen. They're also on our website, and they're on the flyer. We try to put it everywhere so that families can see it. And we do have a Facebook page as well. So now we'll go ahead and take any questions that anyone has. Ms. Jerry will help.
At this time, there aren't any questions in the Q&A, but feel free to go ahead and ask them if you have them.
Any questions about the days? So our hours, I'll just start talking, maybe a question will come to you. Our hours go just like kindergarten, 7:30 in the morning to about 1:30 in the afternoon. Wednesday is early day. We're off on the holidays, or whatever the school district has put for student holidays and winter break and Thanksgiving break and spring break. And so our students go just like a kindergartner would to school. They come in and they have breakfast and lunch, and they go the full school day, the same hours. We also do, one thing I didn't mention is we actually do fast testing on the children. So in case, if you're new, or if you don't have any children in the district already, you may not have heard, but there is the state of Florida has our children, our elementary school children, being tested with a new test called FAST. It's Florida Assessment for Student Thinking. And what's really fantastic is they've included VPK with that. So what's really great was we're going to be able to really see how that aligns, and how what they, we'll be able to start tracking their scores starting in VPK and as they go up. And so we can see what things are making the best outcomes and how to best serve children. So that's really great that we're actually just started that this year. All the schools just started doing fast testing, and we've been included in that. So it's fantastic.
So we do have one question. How is zoning verified?
Good question. So when you apply, we don't ask for any proof of address or anything at that point. You're just, it's just, good faith. You put down your address. And so if you tell me you live at 123 Main Street, there on the school board website, there's actually the whole zoning department. They also call it the Office of Student Assignment, or the zoning department. And they actually have a link on there where we can just type in your address, and it'll tell us what school you're zoned to for kindergarten. Now, let's say you're zoned to Williger, right? And we put your child at Terwilliger, and then I'll tell you, okay, now you have to go register your child. When you go to the school, they're going to expect you to bring 2 proofs of address, and then they will actually verify the paperwork to make sure that that matches what they said. And we haven't had any issues where somebody told us one address and gave another or anything like that. But if we did, we'd have to, adjust and switch you to the school that you're zoned to go to. So eventually somebody will be checking the paperwork once you go to register at the school. But just to do an application, we want it to be very basic and simple. We didn't want any barriers to anybody applying. So we very easy, just write your address in, and then it gets verified later on when you get accepted. But it goes by the school district's zoning lines of what they determine are the zoning lines, which in the next year may be changing. We're going to go through a whole comprehensive rezoning. So what it looks like right now may not be what it looks like this time next year, but we'll go from there. Hope that answered your question.
Okay, so the next question is, once the child is accepted, will there be a time to do meet the teacher before they begin?
Yes. So we do pretty much everything that the school does. So approximately the week before school starts is the teacher pre-planning week. And that's when the teachers all come back to work. They're off during the summer. They come back to work and they're setting up the classrooms. And usually the day before or 2 days before school starts, they have a meet the teacher. And so your child will get to come out, meet the teacher, see the classroom, all the good things, that way that they're not having experience out in the first day of school. Also, I think it's usually about a month into school, a couple weeks in or a month in, they do an open house. So that'll be another time that the families can come back out and come into the classroom again. But yeah, you do get to do meet the teacher just like the other elementary classrooms do.
Okay, is a zoning exception required if our zone school does not have VPK?
So there is no zoning exception process for VPK students. It's the quick rule is that everybody has to go to their zone school unless your school doesn't have a program. So you don't have to apply for a zoning exemption. So like an example I gave, if you're zoned to Foster, but we don't have a program at Foster and you want your child to attend Rawlings, you'll just apply for Rawlings. And if there's a space, we will consider you for Rawlings. And then we work with zoning to have your child go there. So you don't have to actually do a zoning exemption or anything like that. So yeah, there's no zoning exemption process. We just have all kids go to their zone school. But unless there's no program at your school, that would be the only.
So this question is 3-part. My son turns 4 on September the 2nd. Will he be on the wait list?
No, he actually is not eligible at all. He will not be on the wait list, unfortunately. I know that's a hard, not the answer you wanted to hear. September 1st is what the state of Florida has determined as the cutoff. So everywhere in the state of Florida, up and down the state, it is September 1st is the cutoff for VPK, as well as the cutoff for kindergarten. So to go to kindergarten, your child has to be 5 by September 1st. And if they're not, they will not let them in. There's no exception. There's no way around it. So basically, for your child who turns 4 the day after, unfortunately, your child will not be eligible for the 23-24 school year coming up. They would actually be eligible for the 24-25 school year next year. So I know that's not the answer you wanted to hear, but you'll just reapply for that year when we open it. So we usually open applications in January. The state also opens their voucher system in January. So mark your calendar for January 2024. And then you can go ahead and apply for your voucher and apply for us for him to attend in August of 2024.
So that kind of took care of the other questions. Okay. Are children with IEPs accepted?
Definitely, yes. We actually, our program is an inclusion program. We actually have 2 different models across the district, and we basically reserve spaces in our classroom for students with IEPs. If your child has an IEP, so if they were going to be in a self-contained classroom, and let's say they were going to get speech services and be pulled out for speech, if they're in our classroom, they get pulled out by that same speech therapist. So they still get the same services, those speech services, those pull-out services or whatever. Now, the placement into the classroom would be determined by the IEP team, which is the parents, the teachers, their school staff that all sit as a part of that IEP team. And they're the ones who make the determination when you're putting a child into a different program, like from EAC to VPK to whatever. But yes, to answer the short answer is yes, we actually have a lot of students with IEPs currently in our program, and it's fantastic. The children do really well together. It's great peer modeling. It's just a fantastic program. And so in some classrooms, it's the majority students are VPK with a few spots for ESC students. And then in the other classroom, it's kind of the opposite way. And so we've done both models across the state. They do a lot of different models like that. You'll see that happen in a lot of different school districts. So they use the different inclusion models, whether it's half and half or whatever. But yes, we actually have it's been a fantastic inclusion model that we've been doing here with the school district.
Okay, do you provide a learning outline? For example, students are learning X, Y, and X each week.
That's a good question. Yes, we actually follow a pacing guide. And there's several parts to it. So there's part of it is actually, what is the curriculum? What is the curriculum doing that week? What is the theme? So the theme could be opposites. And so that's what they're learning that week, or bugs, or whatever the theme is for the week. And so that's what they focus on. It's like the theme for the week. And we also have a letter, number, color, and shape of the week. So, and that is to ensure that we get all those things and go over them so many times before they get to the end of the school year, so that we know that we're meeting all those benchmarks that they require for the based on the early learning standards. But yes, this classroom follows a pacing guide. The teachers, they all communicate what week they're on, with the families differently. I know some send newsletters home, some have it posted on their bulletin board, some have the apps where they send notes home to parents that way. So your teacher will actually communicate to you that information, but they all follow the same pace and guide. So we know that there is continuity, what they're getting at Rawlings is what they're getting at Wiles, is what they're getting at Irby. They're all following a pace and guide, so we can ensure that all of our students are getting all of those things across our district.
Do you provide materials to reinforce continued learning at home or homework?
Oh, that's a good one. So, there's a lot of debate about homework with preschoolers. And I will tell you that what has worked best is the teachers really individualize with each family. We know that we've had some students that have just really been super, super advanced, and we would just want to keep pushing. And when we do that fast test on our students, it actually tells us like what grade level your child's on. And so we've some of our teachers, the parents have requested more stuff, and we've had to dig in deep to get them first grade level stuff, because some of our students are just that advanced. Some of our students just need some catching up, and the teacher may either recommend some things that you can do at home. They may send some things home that you can do. They may, some of our classrooms also do the ABC Mouse, and they can give you a login that doesn't cost anything. So they do a lot of different things, but it's really on an individual basis. Every teacher does a little different, but yeah, they all can provide, first of all, they're going to give you feedback to where your child is and where they need to be. And even if your child has hit all the things and checked up all the things, that doesn't mean we should stop. We got to keep going. You've mastered all these 10 things, let's go on to the next 10 things. So they're always pushing, but they will definitely communicate with you things that you'll need to work on at home, because sometimes students, they know all their numbers, but they're struggling in letters or vice versa. So, and they send a lot of work home. So you'll be able to see too how your child is doing, whether they're struggling with the writing or with cutting and gluing, and all those things are really important. Cutting is really important. It helps build those fine motor skills, which is eventually going to help them to be good writers. So they'll send home a lot of that work so you can see it. And so you can always ask for a teacher conference at any time. Our teachers, they're not required to sit down and have one with every single family all the time, but some of ours do. But any time that you want to meet with a teacher, all you have to do is request it, and we will happily sit with you. We can pull reports and let you know where the progress of your student is, and make some suggestions, and work with you individually. Definitely.
When will you start notifying families of acceptance into the program?
It's ongoing. It is a process. It's an ongoing process. So for example, the families that applied in January, at the end of January, we grabbed all those applications, started our process, and we started placing kids, and they were, the first ones to be notified. So it kind of is, this is ongoing. So if you've recently applied, I would say in the last
month,
maybe the last month. Yeah. Maybe last month, you may or may not have gotten a notification yet. I know sometimes we definitely call, if we can get you a space, we are sending you an acceptance right away. Sometimes with the wait list, that one takes a little bit longer, because we want to make sure we have to send you a wait list letter before we send it out, because we do not like to wait list families at all. So, but acceptance letters, as soon as we have a space, we're sending those out. So if you haven't heard from us for some reason, if there's any concern that you've been waiting for too long, just send us an email and just say, hey, I haven't heard back. Or we have had some families, their emails have bounced back to us. And it's kind of a new thing for us. We're noticing some folks' inboxes are too full. And so our emails, it's not that we have the email wrong, it's that the inbox is full and won't take our emails. So if you haven't heard from us, send us an email, and we'll see if the email got bounced back or what happened. We'll look into it.
When does the application become available for the 24-25 school year?
In January. So January, I think like January 1st is when the state opens their system for you to apply for the voucher, because they call it the certificate of eligibility. We always reference it as the voucher. You'll hear everybody call it a voucher. It doesn't even say voucher on the paper at all. It's actually called a certificate of eligibility. That system stays open all during the year, but you can't apply until so if your child's going to be eligible in 2024, you'd have to wait till January of 2024. So they open it like right on January 1st, and we try to open our application right around that time. I mean, maybe 2 weeks later, I think we were this year. And the only reason we delayed it all opening was because we were trying to narrow down our sites to make sure that which schools we were going to be at this year. So that's the only reason that we would have delayed it all. We try to have it right there, right at the beginning of January, just like the state does. These are good questions. This is really great.
Yep, and that's it so far.
Okay. So yeah, you're able to get that voucher, or certificate of eligibility, and you can either use it during the school year or during the summer. And you can use it with us, so you can use it with several. There's a lot of early childhood providers here in town. And if they accept the VPK voucher, they also are doing fast testing, and they are also monitored by the state. They also there's something called class that comes in and does observations of us. So one thing that is really, fantastic for you to know as a parent is that if your child is using that voucher, just know that they are going to a high quality location that's being monitored and being tracked and has a lot of requirements on them. The teachers have a lot of requirements. They had to take an extra 15 hours of courses this year just on emergent literacy. So just know that if you're wherever you take your child using that VPK voucher, it's going to be a program that they are monitored and they are tracked by the state, and they have to meet a lot of requirements. It's going to be a good program.
Is breakfast and lunch served?
Good question. So all of our schools are a little different on that. And on the school board website, you can go to food services and you can look. In a nutshell, in the past couple of years, we've actually had all of the schools in Alachua County did breakfast and lunch for free. This year, I guess with COVID ending and funds moving around and whatnot, it went back to just lunch only. Oh, sorry. Breakfast and lunch only at certain locations. So for example, Childs, they serve breakfast and lunch and you could purchase it, but it's not for free. So and like Hidden Oak is the same way, but Archer, it is free. Every school is a little bit different. At Newberry, it's free. And I don't know what makes one free as opposed to the other one, but it's just basically this year was the year that changed. So you'd have to go to the website to figure out for your child's school, is it free or not? But we do breakfast and lunch for the students. And depending on what time your child does breakfast, sometimes it is kind of early in the morning. I mean, they go to breakfast early in the morning. Depending on what time they go to lunch, sometimes that's early in the morning as well. So sometimes what the teacher will do is an afternoon snack. And so that is one thing that's not provided by the school that families would bring in. But, and that's just, depending on if they eat late, sometimes they do a morning snack. So vice versa. But we do, there is breakfast and lunch that is happening during our day, whether you're bringing it in or purchasing it, or if it's free from the school, it depends on the school.
Okay, can you apply to the VPK voucher after you apply for ACPS, or do you have to have the voucher / certification of eligibility first?
It doesn't matter one or the other. Like I said, when you apply for the voucher, we don't even get notified of it. So I would say, they never run out of vouchers. There's no such thing as a running out of voucher. They just keep if your child's 4 and you live in Florida, you qualify for a voucher. The thing that people run out of are spots. So you definitely want to, hit the pavement and make sure you're out there finding where you want to put your child and apply with us, apply with other places. And you can do them simultaneously. Our application is pretty quick. Like I said, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It's just basic information. It's very, very fast. And then you can get on there and do the application for the voucher. It takes a little bit longer to do. You have to go in and register your email and then check your email and confirm it and then go back in and put all your information in. And then you got to upload a proof of address and a birth certificate, and then you have to submit it. And then like 2 or 3 days later, they'll tell you that you've been accepted. If for some reason you're not approved for your voucher, it's usually because of an error. Like the scanned copy of the birth certificate was blurry and they couldn't verify the child's age, or the address that you wrote versus the address that you submitted were different, or something like that. If your child's 4 and in Florida, they qualify for a voucher. So if you're ever denied a voucher, call Early Learning Coalition and find out what's wrong, and then you can just resubmit it. But no, there's no order. We always just say step 1, apply for us, because of the fact that we run out of spots. So we want you to apply as early and quickly as possible.
Do they take naps in VPK?
These are good questions. So that's, okay, the correct answer is no. During the VPK hours, so like I said, that voucher is only good for 3 hours a day, right? So for us, the VPK hours are 8 to 11. Our children go the entire school day, but the state funds us for only 3 of those hours. So during the VPK hours, and that's anywhere, that's every single daycare and everything, there is no nap during the VPK instructional hours. Now, we, being a longer day, we do offer nap in the afternoon when we're out of the VPK hours. So our program does have nap, just not during those 3 VPK hours. It's kind of a trick question. And I will tell you, some of the kids, some schools, definitely the kids take nap and they sleep, and we don't require anybody to sleep. We just say, just rest your body, rest your eyes. Sometimes it's just a quiet activity. Some classes we've noticed that the children, especially during the second semester, are kind of over it. And they're like, no, I don't need nap anymore. And they're, I think one of our classes doesn't do nap at all because none of the children will nap. So it's kind of on an individual basis with each classroom, but overall, we all take naps. Everybody brings in a mat, and we do attempt to take the nap in the afternoon when we're out of the VPK hours. And I don't think you'll find that a lot of daycares, that's the same thing. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just do it for half a year and not for the other half. It kind of surprised us this year with the amount of kids that didn't really want to nap anymore. So where some other kids really do. So we kind of go with what the children need at that classroom. But like I said, we don't require any child to sleep. If they just want to rest their bodies, that's fine. That's not a problem. Mm-hmm.
So, Ms. Tricia, I have a question.
Mhm.
Do we do graduations at the end?
We do. Behind me are cap and gowns. We are getting ready for our graduations. Most of our classrooms do it. We have a couple that are doing something a little different. They're doing like an end of the year celebration instead, because their classrooms also have a couple 3-year-olds in them. And so they're doing a different celebration. But yeah, for the most part, we actually are having 10 graduations coming up, and we are preparing for them currently as we speak. And they have a little cap and gown and certificate and the whole 9 yards. So yeah, we're doing a little graduation.
I have another question. Will my child have to wear a uniform, or will I be able to dress them however I want to?
Good question. So right now, the only school that we have that maybe in the district in total, Rawlings is our only school that actually wears a uniform, and it's a very normal uniform, common uniform. It's khaki pants or blue pants, and then it's like this blue shirt or yellow shirt with a little emblem on it, and the school can help you with that if you need assistance with getting those uniforms. That's the only school that does a uniform, but no, the other ones do not. In the other schools, it's just basically the dress code. So we try to tell everybody, no open-toed shoes, because they go on the playground every single day. They go on the playground, and we don't need ants and mulch and sand getting in their little toes. So just for safety reasons, we say closed-toed shoes. Just dress them appropriately for the weather, kind of thing. That's mostly what we often see is, it's on a cold day and the little one doesn't have a jacket. Now we're going to go outside. So just make sure that they are appropriately dressed for the weather, but we just follow the regular dress code.
Thank you. How about homework? Will my kids come home with homework, or it's just a normal day? I drop them off and come and pick them up, and there's nothing for us to do while we're at home?
So generally we do not give homework. And if we do send home anything for you to do, just know it's not like required. No one's going to get a grade. They're not going to be marked off for not doing it. We do have a couple of teachers that send home extra work, but mainly it's because the parents have been asking for it. They really wanted, some extra things to reinforce with their kids. I know right now I can think of, 2 classes that do that. You're not required to do homework, and anything we do send home, we really want to encourage you to do that with your child so you can see what level they're on as well. You may not know that they're struggling with holding that pen. They might be holding the pencil still like this, and we got to work on holding it like it correctly. And so if you're able to do those things with your children at home, you can see where they need some extra help. But if you ask the teacher, they can provide you extra stuff, but generally there's nothing going to be sent home that you're required to do.
Does my child have to be potty trained to come to VPK?
No, they do not have to be potty trained at all. No. Most of our children are potty trained. I would say sometimes there's a few that come in not potty trained, and very quickly they become potty trained. I don't know if it's because we are constantly reminding children to go to the bathroom, on a regular schedule. Our teachers know. We ask them a lot. Do you have to go? Let's all go take a potty break before we go outside, or before we go to lunch, or before we go to pickup. So we're constantly doing that, and children are watching. Oh, my friend is getting up to go to the potty. So it's really like that positive peer pressure. And a lot of children, I've seen it where sometimes they come in not potty trained, and within 2 weeks they're potty trained. So it's not even been an issue. But if you have concerns, you can always talk with the teacher, about that. But no, they're not required to be potty. For our program, they're not required to be potty trained.
Thank you for those answers. And let's see, I'm trying to think of any other questions that some of the parents may have or did not think about. Can my child bring a backpack?
Yes, we encourage the backpack with a change of clothes. So even the children that are potty trained sometimes have accidents. They get excited and they just forget, or, at nap time, things like that. So we always say bring a change of clothes in the backpack. And then we use the backpack to send home their work, because they do a lot of stuff in class, a lot of artwork, a lot of things. And so we definitely need a backpack to send home all the stuff that we do in class. So yeah, definitely a backpack. And then all families are welcome to bring their own lunch if they would like to. Mm-hmm.
And then I know typically the schools, although they have meet the teacher, they have a time during the school year where we come in normally and visit the classrooms. Does VPK have that as well?
Yeah, we have open house, which is, I want to say it's a month into school, I think. There's open house. And then, of course, if you need a parent-teacher conference, you can always request that. And one other thing is we really encourage families to volunteer. The school district has an entire volunteer department where all you have to do is go online, you fill out this little form, and it does like a basic background check, I think, and then it clears you and it says, yep, you're allowed on our campus. And you just arrange a time with that teacher. You say, hey, I'd like to come in and volunteer with the class, and can I come help do something? Can I, whatever, she may have an event going on, need an extra pair of hands, or you just want to come in and read to the students, or whatever you want to help come in and do. And that would be a fantastic time for you to come in and see, your child in action. I think most times they tell families, let's not do it during the first couple of weeks of school, just to get your child used to separating from you, because we don't want to confuse the kids of you coming every day and then all of a sudden mom's not coming anymore, and then they're confused and having separation issues. But other than that, no, we encourage families to volunteer. We have a lot of great volunteers right now over at Rawlings coming in with our class over there. So we encourage that. Mm-hmm. Now, every school, one thing I do need to say, every school does have a different policy about visitors on campus. So you do have to, and that's mostly for safety reasons. But so whatever the school says about, visitors coming in and on campus, we have to follow those rules. But volunteering, you apply to be a volunteer online, you coordinate that with the teacher, and we'd love to have you in our class. Excuse me.
That's awesome. And then do the kids ever take field trips while they're in VPK?
Yes, we have before in the past. We have not in the last year or two, but yes, we can. I know that there's, everybody's heard that there are issues with making sure we have enough bus drivers and things like that. So that has been our only barrier. But in the past, yes, we've done field trips to the Cade Museum, Santa Fe Zoo, and we hope to get back into that, as long as we can get the enough notice and have a bus driver to take us, and if the families want to do that. Mm-hmm. But our teachers do a really great job of having a lot of events at the school too. Some of ours, they're all a little bit different, but two of our sites, they like to do a little science fair with the children, or muffins with moms and donuts with dads, or a water day. They just do a lot of different things with the kids right there at the school. So it's pretty fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I'll let the other parents that are still logged on have a chance to ask some questions if they have some for you.
And normally, families usually think of a question later on after we've logged off. So if you have any questions, just feel free to email us and we're happy to answer them. It can be pretty confusing. It doesn't feel like the state does a fantastic job of explaining the next steps to families it's kind of confusing. After you apply for that voucher, what do I do next? And how do I get in here and there? And it's pretty confusing. So as you move through the process, if you have questions, just let us know. Like I said, it's just the two of us, so it's kind of a small team here, but you can always email us and we try our best to get back to everybody as soon as possible.
Ms. Trisha, do you have a slide that you can pop up
Yeah.
there with your
Yes.
email addresses?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much. Give everybody the opportunity to write those down if they haven't already.
Right there at the bottom. And it's also found on our website.
So I'm thinking about the holiday seasons. Do the kids in VPK have a Christmas program or holiday program that they participate in?
They do some different stuff across the district. I know, excuse me, our teachers are always very respectful of different cultures and beliefs. And so sometimes they'll just have holiday things. And one teacher, I know she encourages families to kind of, bring in what are their things and everybody celebrate. I know that, excuse me, we had a whole holiday event over here this past year for our students at Rawlings, where they were able to take a little field trip right here to Fernside where our office is. And we had our whole office decorated and they came through and just enjoyed in the festivities. But everything that we do, we try to be very, culturally aware and sensitive to the different beliefs and things. And anytime that sometimes we have different community partners that will give us, like, for example, they'll say, hey, can we come with Santa and bring gifts? Anything that we do like that, we always ask permission with the families. We never would do something without getting their full consent. Can your child receive this gift? Can your child meet Santa? Yes or no? And if they're not, we always make sure that there's an alternative activity for them so that they're not left out or anything like that. So we definitely want to be culturally sensitive to everybody's different beliefs.
So there is another question. Do you know if any of the schools are already full, asking specifically about Terwilliger?
Okay, good question. So a lot of our schools are full. I will tell you, Shell out in Hawthorne is not full. We definitely have spaces there. Terwilliger is kind of, we have a little bit of work to do there. We may or may not be full. Normally I would say, yep, we're full because we had one class there, and I know we've already filled that one class, but we actually have just been blessed to be able to open another class there. So, and we are closing one somewhere else. So we're kind of doing a little bit of maneuvering and moving some folks over from one place to another and still accepting applications. So we're kind of working through that right now. So Terwilliger may not be full by the end of this month. So sorry, by the end of this month, everybody will have their answers about Terwilliger. It just has been trying to get those things finalized as well while doing orientation. And we have our summer program opening. We haven't been able to finish everything with Terwilliger, but you'll have your answers specifically for that one very, very soon. But if you want to shoot an email to me, I'll make sure to look up your child and give you a call back or an email back, because we definitely want to make sure that we see that you've applied there and make sure we double check on yours. But Shell needs some more applications. So if anybody lives out in the Hawthorne area, definitely apply.
Or if you know anyone that lives in that area.
Yeah, if you know of anybody who lives in Hawthorne, yes, definitely apply. And then also some of our sites do not have a huge waiting list. So one thing is sometimes during the summer, people move, they need more hours. If I accepted this position, at Terwilliger and it only goes to 2 o'clock, but my job changed and I need more hours for my student, I might have to move my student away from there. So a lot of times kids do move around. So there are some schools that don't have long waiting lists. So even though you're on the waiting list, get on the waiting list because that's better than nothing. And during the summer, there may be some movement where you can get in. Don't let the waiting list scare you and say, oh, I'm not going to apply, they're already full. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that wonderful information. And we'll give it a little bit longer because a question popped up. So I want to make sure that if they think of anything else while we are still on live, to have an opportunity to ask.
there's a lot of questions to this, and sometimes you don't know what the question is until you get started, until you get going and get your child enrolled. And there's a lot of different providers out there that do different hours. There's some charter schools do a morning session and an afternoon session. So whether you want to go 8 to 11 or 12 to 3 or whatever, there's different hours everywhere. Just I would encourage parents to just go out there, put their eyes on the school, check it out, look at the reviews, and put their name on the waiting list, because there's a lot of places are gonna, by this time, usually by April and May, most places are gonna have a waiting list. But it's really important to us.
If my child, I'm sorry. If my child is accepted into the VPK program, is there a school list of items that they would have to bring, that I would have to provide?
The actual teacher will give it to you. The main things that we tell every family, first of all, you're not required to bring anything. I want to start there because it is a free program. You're not required to bring anything. So whatever the teacher list does provide, those are really optional. So if you cannot, do not, but one thing that we do need from families is a mat for them to sleep on and a blanket to cover up with. And that's something that kind of you go to the stores, Walmart and Target, where they would normally have them. They don't really stock as many as this county needs every year for back to school. So that's something that you want to kind of get early on. But beyond that, in terms of supplies like pencils and crayons and Kleenex and things like that, you're absolutely not required to bring that. So if they ask for it, we really appreciate it. We really, really do. We appreciate any donations of school supplies, or if you want to bring in snacks for the whole class, as long as they're like sealed or individually wrapped, or something like purchased at a store, those kinds of things, healthy snacks. But no, you're absolutely not required to bring anything. Just we want you to bring your child with their smile.
Awesome, thank you. And we'll just stay on just a little bit longer. We do have until 7, but if there aren't any other questions, then I won't hold everybody on here, but I just want to make sure that we give them an opportunity to type.
Sure.
And see.
There's a lot of really great programs out there in the county, so it is hard to choose where to put your child and what's going to work best for your child, and what worked best for your child may be different what my child needs. And there's also, in terms of the school district, besides VPK, there's actually 2 other preschool programs. There's actually one called HIPPY, which is, let me get it right, Home Instruction for Parents of Preschool Youngsters. So it's kind of like, I always call it like the homeschool version of preschool, but basically they come out to the house and they meet with the families, and they basically provide curriculum to the parent and teach the parent how to use that curriculum with the child. And during the week, the parent uses it with the child, and the next week they come out with more curriculum. So HIPPY is another one, and that's for kids 3 and 4 years old, or 3 all the way to 5 until they go to kindergarten. And then the other one is called Pre-K ESE, and that is for students with disabilities that have an IEP. And if you need help to determine if your child needs an IEP, if you want to start that evaluation process, you could let us know. We'll direct you in the right direction, because there's an agency that the school district partners with called FDLRS, Florida Diagnostic Learning Resource System. They are the ones that they will do an initial screening on your child and determine whether or not the school district needs to evaluate them. And then they will evaluate them, determine if they need an IEP, and potentially your child could get an IEP and join the Pre-K ESE program. And that's 3 to 5 as well, anywhere from 3 years old to 5 years old. And all of that is free. There is no cost for any of those programs. They're all free. There's no cost for the evaluation or anything. So there are some resources out there that I think a lot of families just don't know about. So if you have a question about them, you can always shoot us an email. Even if you're not asking about a VPK thing, we will help point you in the right direction to where you need to go. Most of us are all right here in the same building. So
Awesome, thank you so much. So if my child has a IEP already, or if they've been evaluated already, could they still potentially be a part of the VPK program, or would it be another avenue?
We have a lot of families who come to us, like, let's say you're from another state and you have an IEP, and all it would take is the school updating the IEP. Like I said, we actually reserve spaces in each of our classrooms, and so it's a we'll talk with the family one-on-one, make sure that that's the route, the right age and all the things. But yeah, we have quite a few students with IEPs in our program, and it's fantastic. It's been such a benefit for them being around typical developing peers, and they're that peer modeling that they do with each other. And it's been really fantastic. We've had several that have been just amazing, scenarios that I can tell you. Children come in, with an IEP, maybe nonverbal or not wanting to talk very much, and by the end they're just chatterboxes. So that positive, being around children that are talking a lot, or being around children that are because that's what they're going to be in kindergarten. They're going to be together in kindergarten, and we have to make sure that they're getting the services while young. So inclusion is definitely the way to go. So but it looks different everywhere you go. Every school district does it a little bit differently.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of the helpful information that you provided. This was amazing for our families. And I am sure that they got a lot out of it. Very informative.
We are here to help.
Yes.
So if any questions come up, we're here.
Thank you so
Just an email
much.
away. Maybe not a phone call away always, but we're an email away.
Awesome. Thank you. So what I will do is go ahead and close us out for the night, since we don't have any additional questions right now in the Q&A. And I just want to thank everyone again for being here on tonight's Zoom. We really appreciate your participation. Each week, you're available to connect with us for more informative presentations and discussions. Once again, I am Tina Foston-Hayes, the Parent Academy Specialist for Educational Equity and Outreach for the Alachua County Public School Systems. And I look forward to seeing you back here next Thursday to join us for some more helpful information. And if you need to contact me for any reason, please feel free to. Again, our email address is parentacademy@gm.sbac.edu. And you all have a wonderful night. Thank you, ladies, for joining.